then I was supposed to die at 13, and I almost died at 13 and was in a coma for a few weeks, and that was crazy, but I survived. And now I'm supposed to live until 20, and I'm 18, but I'm just doing whatever I can, and I honestly can tell you that I don't care about that. I don't care, and not because I don't care about that because death is unavoidable and imminent, right? It is entirely out of our control. We have no say. There's a friend of the family who was eating dinner. She was having like a movie night with her family, and she was eating popcorn. And there was something funny in the movie, and she laughed, and she inhaled the popcorn kernel, and it went into her lungs, and while she was sleeping, she got a crazy infection, went in a coma, and is brain dead, and will never wake up again, and is pretty much dead because she was eating popcorn with her family at movie night. Right? So we have no say when we are going to die. And I know that's a horrible way to start this speech, but I just wanted to get it out there that all of us could get hit by a meteor right now. So let's stop thinking about the death part of it, because that doesn't matter to me. Right? We have no control over it. But what we do have control over is whether or not we are proud of our own lives. Right? I mean, that's something we have. I wish that I could stand up here and give you guys a solid answer, but I am still trying to figure it out. I think I'm just as confused as everyone else on how to make our lives a piece of art. But I think that part of the joy is simply trying. Part of the joy is putting energy into seeing the beauty in your own life. Right? That's part of the joy in and of itself. So, when I was around 7 years old, I was alone and I was in the hospital, and I was bored out of my mind because I was a 7-year-old locked in a room, and I was watching it was some those HGTV design shows that they do, right? That are really addicting, and you're like, where's my whole day gone? And I'm watching people's houses be remodeled. Right, so I was watching one of those. And there was this beautiful New York loft apartment, and I was like, oh my God, that's where I want to live. And I was like, oh, I can't live in the hospital. And then I had this idea. I was like, oh, well, I have a room, and I have furniture, and there's a Target right down the street, so I can go get some twinkle lights and some throw pillows. And I had an incredible family who were so supportive of me all the time. So I started decorating my hospital rooms. So every time I go in, it would be a different theme, it would be the jungle, or a palace, or New York loft apartment, or whatever it was. And those hospital rooms, to everyone else, right, hospitals are these terrifying places where you go to, die or get needles shoved up your butt. But for me, it was my playground. Right? A hospital was my playground, it was my home. And so those hospital rooms were not scary places. Right? They weren't hospital rooms, they were just a room. It was a room with infinite possibility. Just like your lives are not good, they're not bad. Right? Just because you're living in a certain circumstance, you're living in a certain situation, that doesn't mean that that life is innately wrong. It is just a life. Right? We have this bizarre habit of thinking that we can decide what kind of lives are good and what kind of lives are bad. We stand up here and we say, no, pain is bad, suffering is bad, being poor is bad, being sick is bad. But I can stand up here and tell you, I am genuinely proud of my life. I am so proud to be alive. And again, I don't say that as a Pollyanna. I'm not saying that I don't feel pain. I'm not saying that I don't feel sadness and suffering and loneliness, because that's what it means to be a human being, as we feel. But I'm saying that that pain and that loneliness and that sadness is beautiful. Because let's take a moment and let's think, what is pain? Now I want to electrical firings in this human machine. It is the brilliance of the universe, right? When you have a thought, what's going on in your brain? It's positive ions being like surged into a tiny little a little neuron in your brain and causing floodgates to open, and then there's a charge of electricity that goes through that neuron and it squirts out these little tiny chemicals that bounce to the other neuron, and then it bounces back and you have a thought. Like, that's freaking weird. It's weird that that is. So that's what pain is. And that's incredible. It's incredible that we feel pain. It's incredible that we feel sadness and loneliness. It is beautiful. So if we're going to be here, we're going to be at an event called Life is Beautiful. And we're going to sit around and we're going to talk about, how wonderful all the good stuff is and how beautiful all of life is. But you're going to say that my life is less beautiful than yours because I'm sick. And I tell you, you're all crazy. Because my life is no more incredible and no less incredible than all of yours, because it simply is life. And it's gorgeous, and it's everywhere. And life will unfold itself to you if you're open to it, and if you let it. And it doesn't matter if you're rich or if you're poor. We live in a society that economically, I'm not going to get into politics and Bernie Sanders over there, but we do live in a society that benefits off of us continuously looking for happiness and dreams and goals out here, right? That is how our economy works. That is how our entire system works. If we say, no, we're not going to go looking out there for happiness, we are alive, and that is beautiful, and that is all we need, we are beating the system, first of all, which is a plus, right? And we're living lives that are proud of. We're living lives that make us happy. And I'm not saying that you can't go out and, have dreams and do incredible things with your life, I did spend a lot of time in the hospital. I spent a lot of time dying and being sick. And I did have dreams to go out into the real world and be a public speaker and, and travel. I love the thought of traveling. But the thing is, you cannot go out into life and try and find things that are going to make you happy. You have to be okay where you are if you're going to ever be okay with what you have. I said that at my first talk when was that loud for a second? I said that at my first talk when I was 14 years old. I said, you are never going to be happy with what you get unless you're happy with what you have. And it still rings very true, because we need to be inspired by the world that we live in if we're going to do anything. We can go out and have dreams, we can go out and conquer the world and explore everything that it has to offer, but we first have to be so inspired by the way it is right now. That has to be what drives you. It's like how an artist loves the paper that it paints on, right? Artists look at their page and go, wow, look at how perfectly made this paper is. Look at how incredible these brushes are. The bristles on this brush are so great. And the colors in that paint, and then they paint something. And that's what you have to do with your life. You have to look at all of it, all of the pain, all of the loneliness, all of the beauty, all of the friendship and the family, and and the sickness and the health. You have to lay it all in front of you, and you have to say, okay, this is what I have to work with. This is what I have. It's all wonderful, and what can I make